Well, the voter turnout is projected to be higher than it has been recently, but then in recent elections it has dropped to a post-war low. It's expected that over 55% will turn out to vote, and that could mean that the results could be a little bit unexpected. Typically, higher voter turnout signifies that the opposition party may stand a stronger chance. The big question in these elections is currently going on. Polls are open from 7 a.m. till 8 p.m. today. So we won't expect the results till later, but the key question is whether the LDP, the ruling Liberal Democratic Party, can they keep the majority? Just to give a bit of a summary of how this election works, this is a lower house election. Japan's diet is made up of the lower house and the upper house. The lower house is typically more powerful, so this is why it really counts. The LDP currently, before it dissolved Parliament, had 276 seats, but it's only set itself a target of 233 seats. And indeed, many newspapers are projecting that it could lose around 36 seats. Now, with its help of its coalition partner, Komeito, it is expected it can still maintain what's called a stable majority and still be able to pass legislation smoothly. However, it could spell trouble for Prime Minister Kishida, not really showing strong support or strong faith among the public in his leadership. However, as I mentioned, the voter turnout might be higher. This could lead to an uncertain result with more votes coming in for the opposition. And also, the opposition have unified in the voting districts, so that could stand them into a stronger chance. Really, if the LDP lose seats, it does spell a period of political instability coming up.
So, Phoebe, as you just mentioned, the LDP could lose a seat. What could be some of the make or break issues from the voters?
Well, certainly the COVID-19, the pandemic response is a major focus, and there has been widespread dissatisfaction over how the LDP has responded so far with a year and a half of stop-start restrictions. Now, in the LDP's favour, infections nationwide have dropped to the lowest this year. So that's really meaning that people are feeling more confident about the pandemic. However, it is still a concern. The LDP have promised to start rolling out booster jabs by the end of this year and have made them available for anybody who would be eligible. And they've also promised further medical resources should a future crisis like this occur. Now, the economy, of course, is a major focus. In fact, just this week, the Ministry of Finance downgraded Japan's economic outlook. So that was on the semiconductor shortage really impacting automakers. So there's also a focus on economic security and supply chains. There is a sense that income inequality has been growing over the past few years. And this is something that Prime Minister Kishida has very much promised to focus on, increasing wages and expanding the middle classes. But his key pledges of expanding support for families raising children, for example, were absent in the LDP's manifesto. By contrast, the opposition have been promising cash handouts for young people or also for low-income families. So that is a key focus as well. There's also defence. There is a growing sense of insecurity about the security situation in the region, and the LDP have really doubled down on their defence policies. Traditionally, defence spending in Japan has been capped at 1% of GDP, and they've said that this could rise to 2% or more. Overall, however, there is a sense of, will the LDP be listening to voters' voices? Prime Minister Kishida has been campaigning with a notebook saying he's written down people's worries and he's here to listen to the people. The opposition, by contrast, has really pointed out the amount of scandals, the corruption and the pandemic response from the LDP over the past years. So this election really is a judgment on the LDP's track record over the past few years.